Well, welcome to Atlanta Live. I'm Teresa Hairston, and I am so glad you tuned in tonight. I want you to know that you are blessed and highly favored. God has a special blessing and a word for you. Our guests tonight are going to be a blessing to your life. They're going to impart into you, so stay tuned and don't go anywhere. I am honored for the first guest we have tonight is Mr. Tyrone Poole. He is an American Ninja Warrior finalist, two-time Super Bowl champion, original Carolina Panther from 1995, Division II Hall of Famer, class of 2012, and he's the author of a best-selling book entitled Ultimate Success in the Game of Life, 12 Dynamic Principles for Overcoming Life's Situations. Listen, he's an amazing guy, and he has done some, more than the football, he's been blessing a lot of folks, especially some young people. You're going to hear all about it. Mr. Tyrone Poole, welcome to Atlanta Live.
Thank you, Dr. Teresa. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me again. Praise be to the Most High God. So it's an honor.
Well, you know, it's all, we just come out of, you know, Super Bowl and all of the excitement and, you know, all of that. And you, of course, have played in the Super Bowl twice.
Twice, 2 times, back to back, which is the hardest thing to do.
That's so exciting. So with all of that, tell me first of all, let's just go back because you've been a man of faith and you grew up in a house where your parents were people of faith, right?
Yes, definitely. I remember my dad was the first to introduce the Bible into the house. I remember it so well because the pictures, that's what I used to look at all the time. I didn't really, the words, I'm like, okay, the words in red and the words in black, you know, then I found out, okay, the words in red, that's Christ. Yeah. But what got my imagination going were the pictures, and the pictures were people of color. They were colored. So Jesus standing on the rock, of Moses, you know, he just saw color in the characters. So that was what drew me to the Bible. But my dad was the first to introduce the Bible into our house back in LaGrange, Georgia.
LaGrange, Georgia. So as you were growing up, did you maintain your walk of faith throughout your life?
Yeah, definitely. Grew up in the church, I remember my mom, my dad, when they call it dues. They call it paying dues back in the day. That's how long ago it's been, but paying tithes is still the same thing. And I remember my mom and dad, they would give a quarter, they would give 25 cents, they would give whatever they had. I grew up in income lacking family, environment, community, but we were overriched in love. Didn't get all the toys, even though I'm the only child. I didn't get a lot, but I did have a lot of love. So they did make sure every Christmas, if I didn't have toys, I had a fruit basket. Them little chocolate drops. So I had all of that. But yes, a lot of fun memories. Just going to church. We had an outdoor baptism pool. And when God blessed me to go into the NFL, I gave back to the church. And Reverend Trimble, I blessed the church with an indoor baptism pool. So when they say the water was cold, it was really cold when I was coming up. So now they have the heat.
And so as you have matriculated through, you know, so much, I mean, American Ninja Warrior, the NFL, and all the things that you've done, what has been like the thing that has kept you in faith?
Well, that question would be answered simply by going back to probably when I was about 15 years old. And I put it in my book, Ultimate Success in the Game of Life. I come into the house from one evening playing. And like all boys back, you know, we out playing. We come in right before the street lights come on. You know, once the street lights come on, oh, it's time to go inside. So everybody who know about the street lights know what I mean about the street lights. So this particular evening, it was kind of different. Again, like I said, I always grew up, had the Bible in our house. When I walked into the house, I go to the refrigerator, looking for something to drink. So I get some Kool-Aid. You know, we all have Kool-Aid in the house. So then I walk into the kitchen to get food, to see what's on the oven. And then I noticed my mom kneeling down. And it's still kind of sensitive right now because that's, like you said, what makes me that firm grip that keeps my faith. And I remember her crying. And she says, God doesn't want us to live like this. I asked her, I said, Mom, what's wrong? Just like any boy, my dad he was out doing some things like he would always be doing. And so I was the second in command.
Yes,
so when I saw my mom crying, I'm like, what's wrong? And she says, God doesn't want us to live like this. So I'm like, don't worry about it. Without knowing what to say or what have you, don't worry about it. And little did I know that I was going to be the Joseph, of the family.
Wow.
I was going to be the Moses. I was going to lead the paradigm shift, for my mom and dad. So it was good to buy them a house.
Wow.
Hey, wherever you guys want to live, from seeing all the struggle, the lights being turned off, I get up and go to school, I'm watching Tom and Jerry, and I come back home and I turn the TV on and now I see nothing but snow. So anybody who knows what I mean by snow, they know what I mean. The cable been turned off. So to go and have that paradigm shift to where my dad calls me and he says, hey, they have this tractor that I want to use, I want to buy, go get it. So praise be to God, paradigm shift. So that's what keeps me faithfully, in grasp, because I know where I came from.
Yeah.
And I know how He's blessed me.
And now, as you have been blessed, you're helping a lot of young people, especially because you have put a lot of kids through college and helped them with tuition, and as well as helping them to go to camps and that kind of thing. Why do you do that now? Because you do this for people you don't even really know.
Well, I heard a wise person say, my purpose is to make sure that anyone that comes after me doesn't have to go through the things that I went through. So it's my job to study my faults, my failures, which I don't like to call it failures. I like to say that I'm learning to win. I'm either winning or I'm learning to win.
Yeah.
But just for the sake of the conversation, my failures, to study my failures because they were perfect classrooms for me, and to study because there's no temptation, trial, or test that none of us won't go through. It's just what experience, but the principles are the same. They're temptation, trials, and tests. So what I try to do is to study myself and to make myself better, and then serve it to anybody that has ears to hear, and help them to be better.
So speaking of being better and helping others be better, you have this book that has been a bestseller.
Yes.
That helps people to live successfully. Can you talk about some of the principles that you talk about, that you write about in your book?
Oh, thank you for Dr. Teresa for giving me the opportunity to talk about that. The book is not about me. Even though you see my picture on the cover, it's not about me.
Okay.
It's about experiences. But the principles are foremost the thing that I want people to get. And it's really a Bible-based book. It looks secular, but it has spirituality all up in it.
Oh, my goodness.
But one principle, how your words affect your actions. We can pull that from Proverbs.
Okay.
Right? Life and death is in the power of the tongue.
That's right.
So how your words affect your actions. Every day we get up, there's opportunity for us to speak life to ourselves or speak death to ourselves. To either say, you know what, I can or I can't. Like they say, either way, you're right.
Yeah.
So how your actions affect, your words affect your action. How to rise above defeat. A lot of people, they go through defeat, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a loss of job, it's a death of a loved one. They don't know how to rise back up. So, you can rise back up. Kind of like the Atlanta Falcons, right? They say, rise up.
Rise up. That's it.
They need to do a lot of rising up.
Okay.
We go, shh. But a lot of people don't know how to rise up once they encounter defeat.
Yeah.
And how to depend on you.
Right now, in the midst of all that we're going through, people around us sick, dying, people that we didn't expect not to make it through the next season with, they're gone. How do people rise up? Because it's one thing to talk about it, theoretically, but for people who are experiencing that now, can you just speak to those people?
Oh, definitely. I'm glad, again, that's a great point. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say that, speak on that. I always believe that we're like spiders. Spiders have everything they need inside of them to survive. they travel, it comes from inside. The food that they trap comes from inside. Their home comes from inside. Nursing of the young comes from inside. So what I'm trying to say is that we have everything inside of us. And when we can learn to depend on ourselves and know what we have, what we can do, and that gives us an opportunity to overcome adversity. And because if you don't know who you are, what you can do, what you have, then the enemy can rob you. People can attack you mentally. And that's what they try to do, attack you mentally.
Wow.
Even the enemy, back with Adam and Eve, he attacked them mentally. Eve, you could be just like God, trying to get right into the head. So I guess the battles, the way the enemy attacks is no different than back with Adam and Eve. So if you know who you are, what you have, and what you can do, you can always overcome any type of situation, death, divorce, whatever it is, a loss of job. So if you know what you have, what you can do, you can recover. You can recover.
Wow. The Bible says that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And it says that God knew us even before he released us into the earth. He knew us and he formed some things in us that are amazing. And I want to know, because you are such an amazing person, I want to know what was it that you found in yourself? Because, there's such a small percentage, I think it's like 1%, less than 1% of people that ever make it to the NFL, of football players that ever get there. And you did it. And not only did it, but you did it big. What was that was in Tyrone Poole that you found that was so unique and you knew that was God's gift to you?
Yeah. Well, it goes back in high school. I quit football in high school. A lot of people don't know that. I quit in high school. So that, again, to let people know you can mess up. You can mess up and still get back on track.
Wow.
So I ended up going to Fort Valley State, the Fort Valley State. So got to get a shout out to
Fort Valley State.
Wildcats. Exactly. Right. So, but to know the partners, people speaking into you. My fifth grade teacher, Coach Parsons, he told me, he spoke it to me, hey, you have athletic ability. Because in PE, I used to do a lot of great things in PE. Always being the first one chosen, if not the first one, the second person chosen. And he just came to me one day and said, hey, have you ever tried sports? And this was like maybe the fifth grade. And really, I played my first organized sports in middle school, about the seventh grade, and the rest is history. So it actually takes someone speaking into you, because sometimes we could be so close to the picture. If the bigger the picture, the harder it is to tell whether or not it's balanced. So it takes somebody who's standing off in the distance to say, hey, move it a little to the left, a little to the right. That's why it's important to have partners. And most of the time, it's your partners that tell you what you can and cannot be. But you want partners in your life.
Wow. Partners, which can be mentors, teachers, parents.
Yes.
And then as you went on as an adult, because now you have children that are grown children that you are now training. So what are you trying to impart into your kids? What are the most important things? Speak to parents about what they need to do with their kids at this season.
Well, one thing that I do, I try to ask my kids, who are you? Who are you? Now, when you know who you are, it goes back to the old definition. Like I said, if you know who you are, what you have, and what you can do, then you know what you're not. So if you know who you are, you know what you're not. And it's all about prevention. Just like in football, we have preventative measures. We lift weights, we stretch, we eat healthy. So I try to tell my kids, and anybody, parents that have kids, ask your kids, who are you? And then help them formulate who they are. And if they know who they are, then they know what they're not, and you decrease their chances of going wayward. Even though sometimes we may fall to the wayside, but if you know who you are, you're always going to be like a magnet coming right back to the middle of who you truly are.
That is wonderful, and that's such good advice. Know who you are. Know whose you are.
What you have and what you can do.
I love it. I love it. So now what's next for you?
Right now, we have an app. I got an app that we're developing as a company. It helps bullying. I'm actually doing some things at my college, Fort Valley State. It's just so many things that God has given me an opportunity to do. My kids, I'm imparting in them, helping them with their careers. And, it's a journey. It's a journey. It's like a roller coaster. There's some highs and lows. And I heard a wise man say, if you can't handle the dip, then you can't handle the ascending. So it's always the down that prepares us for the up. So right now, I'm transitioning up, trending up. So it's a lot of things happening in my life, mentally, spiritually, and physically.
Wow. Well, it has just been an honor and a pleasure to talk to you. And I think as we're, kind of moving to the next segment, if you have any other comments, any other suggestions, any other advice, just share that now and just look in the camera and just, encourage people in this season.
Thank you again. And I would encourage people, I'm going to give you 3 P's and 3 C's, okay? Now, this is about if you want to transition and maximize your life. 3 P's, you got to have passion. You got to have passion, strong emotional feeling about something. And then you got to prepare yourself for it. And then once you prepare yourself, your partners are going to come. Now, as you're transitioning to greatness, you got to have confidence, courage, and be consistent. And then you will become all that God wants you to be.
Wonderful advice, and that is so powerful. I think we can live on that for a long, long time. Thank you so much for being with us tonight on Atlanta Live.